When you turn up to vote, there'll be people handing out yes and no how to vote material saying vote yes or no. When they get into the ballot polling place, the issuing officer will issue a ballot paper and say write yes or no on the ballot paper. And if you have a look at the ballot paper, and we've got an example here which shows that on the ballot paper itself, it says vote yes or no, and then right at the bottom where you write yes or no, it says directly underneath it, vote yes or no. So the only thing people are going to see when they turn up to vote is to vote yes or no. There is only one box. There aren't two boxes where people tick or cross. None of that. It is one box, and voters write yes or no in it. If a voter writes yes or no, no questions asked. The vote is a yes or a no. But if they do something else, if they don't write yes or no, it's open to the interpretation of the returning officer about whether the intent is clear. So if someone writes yeah or yes with a couple of asterisks, or they write no way or hell no, they write something like that, it will be reinterpreted as to whether the intent is clear. But the confusion that's coming up is everyone's raised about ticks and crosses. Now, I don't think anyone's going to use a tick or cross because there's nothing anywhere that talks about ticks or crosses.
So why do you think we're now seeing concerns around the interpretation of those sorts of symbols if they're used?
Well, these rules have been there for 40 years. This was raised in 1988 at the referendums. It was raised in 1999. So this isn't some Anthony Albanese plot. These are the same rules that John Howard had in 1999. So it's been there for 40 years. The Act was reviewed earlier this year, and they added a provision to make yes, Y and N count with no questions asked. But nothing else was raised at the time that this should be clarified. So the rules in place now are the same ones that have been there for 40 years. As far as I understand, the incidence of people actually using ticks and crosses is virtually nil, because everything says yes or no, and everything anybody will see about this vote talks about yes and no.
Now, what happens if, say for instance, a much stricter view is applied? How difficult will it be to get clarification, I suppose, if people are using things which aren't anticipated?
Well, the provision of the Act, like most acts, has a provision which says, if the voter's intent is clear, it will count. So if someone writes yeah or no way, the intent's clear, counts. If someone does it in a foreign language, it won't. That the intent is not clear except to somebody who understands the language. So those sorts of things apply. And as far as ticks and crosses are concerned, this is based on a lot of case law that goes back a long way. So that's where all the rulings have come from. This is long-standing case law in this area.
Do you anticipate that there is a potential for the way that this is understood to be challenged? For instance, the policy around crosses not being counted but ticks potentially being counted. Do you anticipate that there is scope for that sort of a view, that sort of a standing to be challenged?
They can try and take it to the court, but I mean the reason they're making this ruling is their judgment based on legal advice and past case law is this is how it should apply.